I'm bringing this game on vacation called Left, Center, Right. Have you heard of it?
No.
It's this little tube and it has 3 dice in it and it has tokens. But people normally play with $1 bills. So everybody brings 3 $1 bills and you roll the dice. And if, let's say, one says left, one says right, and one says center, you have to give $1 to the person on your right, $1 to the person on your left, and put 1 in the middle. Or if you get 3 lefts, you give all your money to the person on the left, vice versa. There's also ones that are like black dots, which means you don't have to give any money away that town. So everybody rolls the dice in a circle until there's only one person left with money, and then they win all the money.
Okay.
So do you want to get in on this? You're going to bring some $1 bills?
We're just saying I got to bring some cash?
Bring some $1 bills is what I'm saying.
Oof.
I know. People are going to be like, why are you bringing so many $1 bills?
We can play with the tokens like with the kids and stuff, but it's more fun when you're
Where
playing.
are you going with all these $1 bills?
Yeah. None of your business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't normally carry cash on me.
Me neither.
And you know what?
Or should I say, I don't normally carry ones.
Ones?
You know, I go to the high roller
Do you
places. I got to use 20s.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Big bills only, baby.
Yeah.
That's right. We can
I'm
play
only
with 10s
carrying-
and 20s.
I'm only carrying C notes. That's it.
That's right.
Welcome back to Screen Time. I'm your host, Josh Youngbar, and I have with me Claudia.
Hello, I'm Claudia.
and Jared.
Hello, I'm Jared. Why are you saying it like that? I had to say it like that too.
Because it's funny.
It was robotic.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Claudia. Like less natural than Siri.
Yeah.
Oh man, I know. I wish I could do it like Crystalia does it, the robot voice, like the unnatural robot voice, like what you'd hear in like "You've Got Man," you know, like the old AOL, like
he's
the
good
old
at
AOL.
Yeah.
So good.
So in this episode, we are talking about the film Arrival.
The film.
Yes.
Oh, it was so good. Aliens.
Yeah. So this movie was made in 2016 or came out in 2016. It's the first one that's PG-13 of the Denis Villeneuve movies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
First three rated R. But it did have the one F-bomb, which you're allowed one.
You are allowed one in a PG-13 movie.
It had the one. I was like,
Yes.
oh, they had to get that one in there.
I heard somewhere recently that I think they're allowed 2 now for PG-13.
Well, every day we stray further from Christ.
I know, yeah. Now they can get away with 2 for PG-13.
Movie's just under 2 hours. Not too bad. And the synopsis: a linguistics works with the military to communicate with alien life forms after 12 mysterious spacecraft appear around the world. It was directed by Denis Villeneuve. The writer, Eric Heisener, I don't know how you say that name. The only other thing he's written that might of note was Bird Box.
Oh.
Oh, that wasn't that good though, was it?
I liked it, actually. I liked it more than I thought I was going to, because normally with those
but
Netflix
comparing it
movies,
to this, like,
no, it's not. There's no comparison to this movie.
Yeah.
No.
This was adapted from a book, this movie.
Right.
So
yeah,
he's writing credit from creating the screenplay.
Yeah.
But so that's a little different, I guess.
He had source material though.
Yeah, to work with. Cinematographer Bradford Young. One of other things notable is Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Oh, okay. Anything else? Just that one?
That's the only thing I wrote down because that like stood out to me. I mean, there might be something that you would be like, "Oh yeah, I saw that." And that's not something I saw.
No Roger Deakins.
No.
No, not this time.
But
I know
the stuff is pretty. In
this.
Yeah. The estimated production cost $47 million, so in the same ballpark as Prisoners.
Yeah, they had to buy spaceships for this. So.
They had to buy spaceships.
Yeah. That's how that's
12
done.
of them, actually.
And then, no, they just usually use the same one. They only bought one.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, and somehow suspended in the air that high, yeah.
They just flew it to the different locations.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, obviously this was filmed in all 12 of those locations.
Yes.
Obviously.
Of course.
Main characters, we have Amy Adams playing Louise Banks, Jeremy Renner playing Ian Donnelly, and then Forrest Whitaker playing Colonel Weber. Those are pretty much the only memorable people,
names,
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, overall thoughts. What's just your general? I mean, you guys. So wait, first before we do this,
Yeah.
I have a confession. I was wrong. I have never seen this movie. I thought I
Wow.
had
Nice.
seen it. I had
That's
all these
exciting.
recollection of like, I guess it was just seeing all the trailers and like intention of seeing it, but because it's been almost 10 years, I just was like, I thought I had seen it, but I had not.
That's cool. Also, I sometimes get this movie mixed up with Annihilation. So maybe you were. Do you remember that movie?
Yes, yes.
I mean, not the same
No,
movie,
it's
but
not.
I get those mixed up. So
Yeah.
maybe you were thinking that. I don't know. Yeah, but that's cool. Awesome.
So,
So this is great because this is very different than the previous movies we've done. So now Claudia's seen it the most.
Yes.
I've seen. So you've seen it like what? How many
This
times?
would
did you
have
say?
been my fourth time watching it, I believe.
Okay. This is my second, and then your first. So that's cool.
all right. So yeah.
Nice.
So now,
Should you start first, then?
Okay. Do you want my thoughts?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I'm
do
gonna have
actually.
you go
Oh,
first.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm
wanna
gonna have you
hear-
go first.
Yeah, I want to hear your
Love this movie.
awesome.
This is definitely my favorite of his movies so far. Maybe favorite all of even because the rest of them I've seen. I might even like it better than the Dune and Blade Runner 20.
Wow. Jared just got so offended.
I know.
From a overall story standpoint,
Okay.
that's where like this just yeah. But obviously from interesting. I mean, this was really pretty visuals in general,
Yeah.
but it's not. The scope is very small, from a sense of like they're in pretty much one location the whole time, right? And those other movies are way bigger in scope. And anyway, but I think there's the originality of this, like the
Yeah.
approach of it being sci-fi, but not about war, so to speak, right? Kind of, but
Right.
right. But anyway, so just there's just interesting in those ways, and really liked it. But and then I
Nice.
think it also I mentioned to Lucas after what I was talking about because he hasn't seen it. I was like, you should watch this. But I think it's definitely the most Nolan-esque from a story
yes.
standpoint.
Oh yeah, yeah. It definitely gets into that
Yeah,
Nolan.
just maybe why I liked
feel.
it so much because
Mhm.
that's yeah.
Yeah,
So
I could see that. I agree with that.
anyway.
Definitely at the end, especially. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
That's very Nolan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you guys, what about it?
Yeah. So I've seen it twice now. So this is my second time seeing it, and yeah, I mean, I love this movie the first time. Seeing it this time, I'm trying to think. I was trying to think what kind of differences I picked up on it. I still love this movie, but I still, now watching it twice, I still don't fully understand everything in this movie. I have some ideas, and I wonder what you think, Claudia, since you've seen this more. But I do understand it more, even just seeing it the second time now. More of the concept and what actually happens chronologically too in this movie. But it is very, especially for like an alien type movie, is very unique in that way. And I love that it's focused on language. It's such a cool concept.
Yes.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for my top thoughts on it. But
Okay.
yeah, so do you understand this movie more?
I feel like I have a really good
Okay, perfect.
understanding of what happened and
Okay.
what the storyline is teaching us slash trying to portray. Obviously, I really love this movie as well, having seen it for the fourth time. And just in general, this genre is one of my favorite types, anything to do with aliens. And I really love seeing different directors and creators, their ideas on what they think an alien should look like. And I think this movie does such a good job at making them, alien-like, but there's also some similarities to things we have on Earth with these aliens as well.
There's a humanity to him.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
humanity to these aliens. And this is definitely one of my favorite movies, alien movies, as far as getting to know what the aliens are like and what they do in this movie. They do such a good job with this and kind of making it realistic, like how we would react if this were to happen on Earth,
Definitely.
And just the creativity behind different parts of this movie, which we can get into later when we're actually talking about it. And then the storyline itself. I love a storyline where you think you know the timeline, but it's not. And it kind of throws you for a loop. And this is, this isn't like crazy twist ending type story, but you don't really know what's happening until you get to the end of the movie. And you kind of come to the realization of what's happening. So, yeah, I would agree that this is one of my favorite Villeneuve movies. I don't know that it's my number one, but it's close. It's up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what you just mentioned a little bit ago, that was actually one of my notes about. I said movie is the most realistic depiction of what a UFO encounter I think would be.
Yeah, I think how we would react, how the world would react. Yeah. This is very true to how, unfortunately, our powers of the world would kind of go about.
Because a lot of other movies that do the UFO encounter type thing, it's usually a little bit more fantasized. Is that the right word? Because this is way more realistic and grounded in how, like I said, how it would be typically. And normally it's a little bit more fantastical. I guess that would be a better word. Normally they kind of put that in a little bit in a lot of UFO, Independence Day, Close Encounters, stuff like that. I wouldn't say like the movie Alien, because that's a different type of thing, but normal like UFO movies, because we even did like The Fourth Kind recently, which is a little bit more along these lines, but that even was a little more over the top, so
right.
Yeah. I was saying, when we were talking, you were talking about that, it kind of, I was trying to think of other films there where you have aliens, but it's not so much like us versus them. And like the first thing that came to mind, and that would be like E.T., which I know is not, obviously not the same as this in general, but at least a story where like the alien is around, but it's not, it's more there to be helpful, friendly.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like an invasion is happening and the whole world is, under attack sort of thing.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's, I think, enough of the, that.
Non-spoiler.
Let's dig in. Yeah. I mean, even got there a little bit because I was like, well, I mean, the fact that they're not a threat is kind of a spoiler.
Yeah. I guess a spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I think it's
we learn that they're not.
You learn that, and I think it's kind of I feel like it's kind of implied a little bit. Like it's kind of like you don't think that's where it's going, right?
The fact that they're willing to even communicate in the beginning shows that this isn't very. Yeah. This isn't like they're not like coming here to just start blowing people up and taking over the planet and stuff.
Cool. So, characters and performances. What do we think? And
Forrest Whitaker is so Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to mention him just because I love that actor, but I mean, Amy Adams is amazing.
She's definitely.
Yes.
You can tell. I mean, a lot of her role in this movie is based on her imagination because she's talking a lot to these beings. And especially in the scene, because I guess we're getting into spoilers, the scene where she is ascended into their room in her hair, and the way that she's acting and like she's talking to them is so well done for like not really, in reality, she's not looking at anything at all, probably.
Yep.
And no, she does really well. Yeah.
Yeah. Even just some of the, like, all the times where you could tell like she's nervous, yet she knows she's got to do it.
Yeah.
And like, there, and just all the body language that she's acting with in that, and
she has a lot. Yeah, she has a lot of different emotions in this, and she does it all very well, for sure.
Yeah,
which it wasn't for this movie, but I know she has won before, right? An Oscar.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
But I don't remember what movie though, but
I wonder. Yeah, she probably.
I don't think it was this one.
Do you think she was nominated for this? I don't even know.
Probably.
Yeah, I would guess so.
Let me look real quick.
Yeah.
I can appreciate like a woman character that can command a room without getting loud. And she does that really well also when she's talking to like Forrest Whitaker's character.
Well, like even in the beginning when he first approached her, right?
Yes.
And it's the, or not again, I shouldn't say. We've talked about this on a different podcast.
Yes.
What I think it's the confidence in her, like being like, "Hey, I am the best at this in my field."
Right.
And she knows it.
She does, and she doesn't have to get all flashy to
she's not cocky
to
about it,
prove
though.
her point.
Mm-hmm.
And she does that when she's like, okay, before you go to so and so, ask him what the Sanskrit word for war is and its translation. And that was it.
Yeah.
And she's like confident that would work, and it did. And yeah, and like you said, the way that she can portray being nervous but knowing that this is something that she has to do and kind of keeping it together while being so scared, you can see. It's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Of course, they pull her or push her to do that initial jump where the gravity shifts, and she's like, because remember she didn't want to get off.
Oh yeah, she didn't want to get off the platform.
Yeah.
He
He just like
grabs her,
grabs
like,
her foot, throw her over.
How wild is that though?
Yeah, like that scene, especially the first time they do that. But even every time, it's just crazy to see like something where you're like, your mind's like, this shouldn't be working.
Yes.
But
and she looks back down the tunnel and it's the earth, like, but she's looking at it from a side
walking
view.
on the side
yeah.
of the building, like Spider-Man.
There's so much in here, I can't find anything, but it did win for best achievement in sound editing, which is very well deserved for this movie.
Yes.
Because I mean, I want to talk about the music and sound design later, but
yeah, we can get to that. But yeah. So, cinematography and visuals. It was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
I think we talked about this a little bit in previous ones. And I think some of this has to be coming from the director, because there's a consistency in, especially you could, in this movie, you can almost feel the shots in Blade Runner 2024 and Dune. It's like and the fact that those are both different cinematographers means that it's got to be such a heavy influence coming from the director, right? And I think, again, nothing to sneeze at the. Solo Star Wars Story is fine, but I don't remember there being these standout cinematic shots like we have in Arrival. And again, I think it's a lot coming from Denis versus this cinematographer. Not to say that he didn't do anything, because I don't want to discredit the guy. Which
it's a good point, because even when we were watching this, Claudia said, and she's like, man, there goes Villeneuve again with the shots, because it was, and it's what I said also. I think is one of the best is when you first see the alien, and it's that really.
The mountain and the mist is coming over the mountain. It's stunning.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I said, I don't know how much of it was him and how much was the cinematographer or whatever, sorry, what do you always say? DP. But like you said, it probably is a big thing because it's so consistent over all of his movies so far.
And I think it's these beautiful establishing shots that, and you have them even a little bit in Sicario, right? Like we were talking about that sunset shot at the end where it's kind of, it's a little odd creatively how they're walking out of frame at the bottom, right? But it's still establishing, interesting, and of course they were trying to evoke a different emotion there.
Well, and I would say, I guess not as much in Prisoners, but we talked about like more of the establishing shots in Enemy also, right?
Yep.
Same deal there too.
Yeah, because some of those like cityscape shots and 100%. So it's definitely something that is intentional from his perspective, I think. But yeah, I think, some of these, like just even the palette, if you just made it tan, it would feel like Dune versus. Right. Like it's just like the coloring is a little different, but like it's got the same. Anyway, yeah. So I
what was I saying? I think Yeah, because some of the shots in Enemy, I think I was saying like, yeah, you put all like the
Blade Runner,
yeah, like
2044.
over it, and it would be very similar. Yeah,
Right,
so he
yeah.
does a lot of that kind of thing for sure. And yeah, even in Dune, like you said, I think he does it also.
Just
But
the consistency in his ideas and his way he's portraying things visually and telling a story visually. You're just seeing those repeat to see, that it's his creative footprint being put onto that, right?
and that's what's so cool is that I think it's one of the many things where, so even if you're just watching a movie, like he has a very signature thing he does that you can tell like, oh, this is a Villeneuve movie now, which I feel like not every director has that,
No, not all of them.
So
No. There's people that are
you
more,
watch a movie and you're like, oh, I had no idea it was that director. You know what I mean? Why?
yeah, because they're intentionally doing other stuff
Right.
differently.
So, sorry, real quick. Also, then
Yeah.
with so then in Blade Runner, it's back to Roger Deakins. But then, who was it for Dune?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
So
but
it's someone different
someone
also
else, yeah.
again. Okay, cool. Because I mean, we'll get to those. But I was wondering, yeah, if he went back to someone or if he got someone new for Dune.
Yeah.
So I imagine though. I
it's
think
somebody
you
else.
said it's someone new. Okay.
Pretty sure.
Cool.
Yeah. So any other, I guess, any specific shots?
I really liked how it would transport, what's her name, Louise,
Yeah, Louise.
from her work at the site of the UAP, I guess we should call it, and then her recalling the events with her daughter, where some of that, like I mentioned this before, I really like scenes where the audio is playing from one specific part, but the scene is not where they're at, I guess is what I should say. And that happens a lot in this movie, but it's really well done. Kind of those flashback or flash
Yeah.
forward
Flash
type
forward. Yeah.
situations.
Flash forwards,
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, one of the things they do with that stuff, so it has a very different feel. All that stuff is filmed handheld. So all the stuff with her daughter, I won't say all of it, but like it has that intentional like move, like kind of like life in the camera is the term we would use. Versus everything else, for the most part, on the present day, we'll say like is more just either static or slow pushes or
Right.
slow pans. Like they do that. The very first shot of the movie is this like pan from the ceiling down and to reveal her in her apartment or
Yes.
whatever
With
house,
the-
whatever it
yeah.
is. And then they do that same shot again at the end, towards the end.
Yeah. They end with the same sort of
Yeah.
scene.
So the handheld though, those. Is it more like the shots then that like they're not like overly trying to like shake the camera, but it's just
No.
naturally happening because
Just has
it's
a little
handheld.
bit,
Yeah.
it has a
Okay.
little bit of life to it. And then of course, again, they're a little bit warmer, color graded as
Okay.
well. And you kind of have that tonal shift a little bit to kind of signify, and it gives it a different feeling, but also gives it a different emotion and kind of like the happy times, so to speak, versus
Well, and it's cool because pretty much through the whole movie you think it is a flashback.
yes,
Right.
So they
That's
do
what you're
that very
thinking the
well.
whole time.
Exactly.
Because when it like shows her with her daughter in that montage where she finds out that she has cancer, and you go back to her life where she looks like she's depressed because she just has this life where she lives alone in this big house and she's a professor and that's what she does, and she doesn't really have much emotion, like joy emotion in this
Yeah.
movie. So you're thinking that, oh, she's just she's a grieving mom and she never, recovered, sort of thing. Not that I think you would ever recover really
Right.
from losing a
something-
child.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Instead, she was just a sad person.
instead she just lives a mundane life and that's
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just she was already like that, and
Yeah.
then there was excitement when her child was born, and then yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right, so music and sound.
Yeah. So last one with
Jared's music and sound corner.
yeah, I know. This is the last one with Johansson. That
All right.
and I think So with the score, before we do sound design, is a lot more strings in this one, but so specifically, so I would say it probably would be labeled as the main theme of this movie, which is actually the shot you're talking about. So the music they do, or the cue they do in the beginning shot, which they also then come back to in the ending shot too. Incredible. Actually, probably the best cue in the whole movie, I think, which is makes sense why then they would also return to it. But so I love how it's this guy in particular with, so it would be this one, Sicario, and Prisoners, right? Yeah, he did those three. So all three pretty different, right? Score wise, but they're still like we've mentioned. Well, I guess we mentioned this with Ahsoka, with the composer. They still have a very distinct, kind of like what we talk about with directors too. They have their own, where you can tell like, okay, this is him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though he's doing different things for different movies, because obviously you don't want to do the same type of score for every movie. But he has little things he does where you can tell, okay, that was him. But that main theme in particular is amazing. I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And then the sound design, though, it's just like, it's not even just, because the first thing that I think is just, I need to find it behind the scenes and see if they explain how they created it, but all the actual alien sounds are so good in this.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it's so good and unique. It's not specifically some of the sounds. I'm like, I love when I hear things and I'm like, how the heck did they do that?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I can be like, okay, that's that or that. I can usually pick it out. I'm sure it's the same thing with like camera stuff. You usually can tell, but then sometimes you're like, what the heck? And I love those kind of things where you're just like, I would love to know how they did this. So, but yeah, all that is just amazing in this movie. That's it.
Yes, the sounds, music, loved it. Yeah, it was phenomenal. And like you said, the alien noises.
You could just feel it in your chest when they're talking.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this was, so I guess would that still be, I'm trying to think, because it won for sound editing. So, I mean, that would still be sound design, I'm assuming, too, unless Johan actually did part of the sound design, too. Because that I'm always, because it's different for each movie. I don't know exactly what all is involved with that.
Yeah,
I don't know if you have
know. Yeah.
For sound editing,
I think the sound editing is just the person putting all the stuff in there. Because, I mean, like, so it would be...
Yeah, but I think sometimes they would be creating some of it, too.
Yeah, they might.
I mean, not always, but...
They might. I don't know if they're the ones that make the Foley and stuff like that, or if they...
Right, that's true.
I don't... Or you're just pulling them from libraries of things. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, it's what the people that worked on it did a great job.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't just one person.
It's always a collaboration, yeah, for sure.
And then, I don't know if he's, when they write the music, if he just, they just hand over sections and stems, right, of the, and then the editor probably manipulates it a little bit because, yeah.
That's also a thing too, and that's different for different directors. It's always cool when I see like certain directors get heavily involved with the score, which actually Denny is one that does that, because I know he was heavily involved, because I did see it behind the scenes about Dune, and he was heavily involved with like all the scoring sessions and all that. And I think it's cool when directors are really involved with that, because not always the case, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so let's go to our notes, because I want to save the themes and messaging for kind of the end, and then of course trivia at the end.
Yes.
So let's just kind of go through any general other notes. So like I thought it was funny, the canary.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like the classic like canary in the coal mine, but and it's like every time it would cut to the canary, like still doing okay, still alive in there.
Yeah.
Still dancing around.
Just looking at some of my notes. If you guys could just shout out whatever you got. You got no notes.
I didn't take any notes, but
it's the fourth time seeing it. You just pull them off.
I know. I'm
yeah,
just
off
like,
the dome.
through my database here.
So I don't have too much of this because both of mine that I have is more toward like the ending and like kind of the meaning of how all this comes to be.
Yeah.
I did really like though the connection. I'm trying to remember exactly how he worded it. The connection between the 12 crafts and where they're all located. And they were trying to find a pattern. And he said it was all Sheena Easton had #1 hits and all those. And I was like, awesome, shout out. That's she did For Your Eyes Only would be probably the song that you would but I was like, that was great. I like that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
And all #1 hits in all those countries or wherever those were. Yeah.
Wherever. Yeah, that's good.
I was just like, when I watch movies, I try to put myself in the shoes of like the main character. And how insane would it be if you were at your work in your office and just some government people show up and they're like, you have high clearance. We need you to decipher this alien language for us. What does this mean? And you're just like, I mean, how do you process? She was just like, well, I would need to see them. I can't do anything for you without actually being in the room with them. Just hearing it on a
she
thing.
She didn't even look excited at all.
No,
like
I would have been like, well, I mean,
I said this to you when we were watching it. Like when she actually goes in, I was like, this would be a dream come true for Claudia.
My body is your, whatever. Use me.
Go up in the pod.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I would be like, I was chosen by. I'd be like doing my princess wave. Mm-hmm. Anyway, just so wild.
Yeah.
And then actually being told, okay, you're going to come face to face with these beings and you're going to try and figure out what they're trying to tell us, But also it's like an alien language. Where do you even start with that?
Right.
Especially theirs.
I like when she had to mansplain it to him when she had that sentence.
Oh yeah,
that was great.
Let me show you how to sentence, like break this down.
Why have to build this bridge and then we build this bridge and we build this bridge. Like, trust me, I know what I'm doing.
I know, right? Let me take you back to elementary school really quick. Yeah. And then when she finally does write the words on the board and then they do their ink symbols for their language, it's like, okay.
Yeah, where do you start
with that? It's
That's
so
one of
wild.
The coolest aspects of this movie is that she explains the difference how our language is linear and theirs is non-linear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they do it that way. And then they have to try to break it down by actually the different sections of it that like, okay, this part could be this word, so each thing that they're outlining. But also, actually this goes into one of my notes about the palindrome, which
Hannah.
Also they mentioned is her daughter's name is a palindrome, but that has to do with their language. So, and actually the way, like if you look up the definition, it's a sequence that reads the same forward and backwards. So exactly how their language is. Yeah. Just I thought it was really cool the way they did that.
It is really cool.
Speaking of the pod though, when you were talking about the pod, that was the one area that the effects looked a little off.
Her hair,
special effects, yeah.
Yeah,
that's what point.
Her hair was weird.
I was like, why'd they do that? That was the only thing that looked bad because everything else looked great.
Everything looked amazing, especially for less than a $50 million budget, right? That was just, I was like, whoa.
Because her whole face wasn't CG, but her hair was. That was like the part that you could really see was like, didn't look that great.
Yeah, well, or just whatever. I don't know if it's CG or they were trying to composite something over top or whatever, but it just looked weird and not natural in a bad way.
Yep.
Right, yeah. I agree.
But yeah, otherwise, though, everything, any of the visual effects.
And the aliens looked awesome.
Yeah.
So good,
they looked so good.
Yeah. I know we talked about this a little bit, but I was just thinking about it again when you were talking about their language, and just such a good job of making them feel a little menacing and scary at first, but yet then also approachable and
willing to learn. I mean,
yeah, like or giving them at least like almost. I mean, helps that they started calling Abbott and Costello.
yes,
like giving them names.
That was great.
the names.
Yeah,
yeah,
and then you could see that they're bonding and with the humans, and
right.
and it makes you start caring for those aliens.
Yes,
and I think they did a good job of that. But when you first meet them, you're a little bit scared for the humans, right? Because you're like, I don't know how this is going to play out,
right?
And they're pretty big. I mean, yeah, they're on the other side of this piece of glass or whatever it is, but they're pretty big. And of course, they have these giant ships and pods or whatever you want to call them, and then there's 12 of them, and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen here.
Another thing I noticed that, again, like very like completely different than most UFO type movies or alien movies, is the actual pods are vertical instead of horizontal, right? All UFOs you see are normally right horizontal, and they purposely did them vertical. Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
There's something in the trivia about that.
Nice.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Nice.
There
Oh,
is.
you already looked at the trivia? Okay,
yeah.
cool.
I skimmed it.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah. Let's talk about the morons that put some C4
I
in
was
the
just going to
chamber.
bring that up. That made me so angry.
But at the same time, you know that I mean, like
that
we
would
were
happen,
talking
though.
about the realism of even Forrest Whitaker's character, where it's like he's kind of I don't know, say like he's like knows what they want, being the government, and he's kind of like, it's like, yeah, I can't. Well, no, you got to be done because
yeah.
we're done, you know, or what? Like he's just so matter of fact about everything, and it's like there's no like, hey, you know, you're really close. Let me see what I can do.
Right. No.
It's just
submit your words and stick to the script.
Yep.
Even if you have a breakthrough, don't say any other words, but the ones you submit to this board. Yeah. It's frustrating.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know how people like, because I know there's probably people really like that in positions that have to be that way.
I can't imagine the pressure from higher ups, though, also in his defense, that he's probably getting.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was a big thing on the movie Outbreak that we just did, because some of those higher ups also were the same way and have to be the same way.
Right.
Actually, even in Lioness too.
Yes, in Lioness.
I was thinking actually kind of the same thing in that as well, right?
They do.
They have to be very strictly.
They were like being, but then the other people are kind of like playing the game, right? Like
right, they're the other side, yeah.
They're like kind of like, well, but that's what I guess what I was getting at. The in that show, Nicole Kidman and I forget the other guy's name that was in House of Cards.
Yeah.
But they're kind of the Forrest Whitaker position where they could kind of, you know, speak one way to the people here that be like, yeah, I'm actually trying to help you. I know how to play the game, and I'll filter things and kind of play the game over here when I have to deal with the higher ups, but I'm also going to be personable and talk to you and know what you're trying to achieve and see if I can
leniency.
And see if I can work my magic to kind of, you know, make things work with the higher ups.
Sure.
Where he wasn't doing that so much. He was just
He's
more
by the
like,
book.
yes.
Yeah.
So
there was no wiggle room at all with him.
No give.
But yeah, there'd be terrorists or whatever you want to call it that would just try to.
I know some idiot soldiers that just like, well, let's just blow it up. Problem solved. And then just plant some C4. And then also stand by at the bottom and kill anybody that tries to stop them. Because the guns were, you know, while they were up there talking. But how cool was this scene when the alien pushed them on the glass and the vibration from the glass just, made them fly back into that tube where it's got that zero gravity kind of effect and they just kind of floated there.
And they were able to close off the
right, and they saved their lives. It was so apparent, and it wasn't really mentioned that much that they were like, these aliens saved my life.
It is weird they didn't bring that up.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't remember from the concussion. I don't know, but I wish that would have been in the movie where it was like, they pushed us back out of the way while your stupid soldiers put C4 in there and almost killed all of us. And it did kill one of the aliens, remember?
Oh, that's right.
Costello or Abbott, one of them, one of the two. I can't remember which one. But when she goes into the chamber with them and she's like, where is... And he's like, he's in deceased processing or something like that is the language that he said. It was sad. Made me sad.
It was sad, yeah. And then again to how realistic this movie is just how you see all the other 11 countries, how they deal with it as well, right? And how different it is
China and
everywhere.
Russia.
Yeah.
Setting the tone.
Was
Yeah, we didn't really see them all, right?
no, I guess because most of it was just like the Zoom before Zoom meeting where they had them all up,
Yeah. We talked to Australia a lot
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah.
in this, and I was like, okay,
Yeah, that was interesting.
of all the different countries to talk to the most, I guess maybe they were the most helpful, because I could see other countries of the ones that were up on the screen not being as
Cooperative.
coming and sharing their new findings.
Right. True.
True.
Yeah, but Russia and China.
China.
Just,
Yep.
guys, get your crap
I
together.
know. Setting the tone. Just being so China and Russia about it.
Classic.
But
classic.
I know, but that does play into the ending, though.
It does.
It does.
Yeah. I think that's a good segue to get into
was
the.
Wanna get
about
into
to
it?
say
Okay.
that, yeah, let's talk about
Let's talk about what we thought.
these
Yeah.
like themes.
Yeah.
And what the movie's actually saying.
Yeah.
And
I would like Jared to go first with his theories.
Oh no, I shouldn't go first because I told you I don't really still understand
Yeah,
it
but
all
I mean
fully.
it's good for you to start then, because then we
Okay.
can kind of work through it.
So my main thing is because they mention how learning certain languages you can rewire your brain, right? They talk about that. So Luis learning this alien language, then I'm assuming that that's what gave her the ability to see future events in her life, because they talk about how because of their language being non-linear, as opposed to, so you think about our language as being linear, but also the way time works is linear.
Mm-hmm.
And in their world or their way of thinking, it's not. So I'm assuming, because I don't know what would be the other explanation why she could see those future events.
I mean, technically, Ian was with her every step of the way, and he wasn't able to see the future, and he was learning the language also.
Yeah, but she had a way more deeper connection with it. I would.
You think
I
a
would
better
say.
understanding
Yeah,
is
I think
what was
so,
making her
than him.
okay. I mean, it seemed like she was having flashbacks pretty early on, though, or flash forwards pretty early on in the movie. I don't remember when exactly she had her first one where she's like doing something and she kind of comes
Yeah, but
back
that could
from
that still plays into it, because if you think of it,
okay.
like their language as a circle, then it could be, since it's not linear,
Yeah.
moving forward and backwards.
No,
then,
I know what you're saying.
So it could be her recalling that already.
Okay.
That's where it's hard to get into that kind of thing,
Yeah.
because then you get into it, because it's not actual time travel, but it's those concepts.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. That's the only way I could really think about it. I don't know how else she would be able to have that ability to see those future events, because then that's what plays into her telling the
Seeing she's able to see the beginning and the end.
right, and it's talking to the Chinese,
like general or whatever.
right,
Like head of the military.
and talking about, what was it, his wife?
Yeah.
His wife is her dying words.
Right.
What her dying words
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the main thing. I mean, the obvious thing is like, that's the only thing that like is pretty obvious, is like, oh, who was the dad? It's like, who was the other person there that, it's like, that was not
Well,
shocking
because
at all.
once you know
Yeah.
it's flash forwards instead of flashbacks, then it's like, oh, he's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it was before that where she comments about, I know why my husband left me.
Yes, when she's
Right.
And I was like, well, what was it? 'Cause
Yeah.
you're like, well, what was the reason?
well,
And-
when she's talking to the little girl, her daughter, and she's like, "Daddy, I told Daddy the truth about something, and he wasn't ready to hear it, and it made him very upset, and that's why he left." And then you're like, okay. So then my mind immediately went to, so she knew her daughter had cancer earlier than when it was diagnosed, and then I started kind of
well, she would if she
right.
has
exactly.
the for lack of a better, the the special ability to, see or hear, I guess, know different things that are happening at different times in the future and before she experienced them. But
the other thing that I thought is really cool is how basically the way the aliens are, the main reason why they're talking to them is because they want the humans to learn their language. So, because what do they say, in like 300 years they're going to need their help?
Them. Yeah.
I thought that was really cool the way they did that.
like,
and in my interpretation, the only way that the world would be able to help them in 3,000 years is if the world was unified.
Yes.
And that's essentially what
they were trying to do.
This did, is China, Russia all fell in line with America because of what Louise did. And then, you see her at this ball and all of the flags are together and all of the world's leaders are in the same room, which is wild. And then the flag in the middle is of the symbol, the alien symbol. So you're like, oh, okay, so this is like a world peace thing.
There we go. That's all we need. And then we solve all the world's problems. Yeah. We just need these specific aliens to come down and we'll be good.
Well, just, it bands people together when there's a common enemy. So it wouldn't have to be these aliens. It could be, could be just some alien that is a threat, and then suddenly everyone's defending the
COVID was a common enemy, but
mummified ET.
Stop.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think of
what about you guys about because that's really it that I have, because there's still some things watching at this time that I'm still like not sure about.
What is it you're unsure about? I mean, I feel like what
I'm
you described kind of covers most.
Okay. I'm trying to think of a specific scene or instance in it where I still was unsure about. I don't know, but you guys go ahead.
I mean, once it finally clicked, she started being able to use it as a tool, and then she was able to, tell the Chinese government guy the right thing so that he.
Yeah. It would take something miraculous, like knowing something only he would know, to change this man's mind about something. So I think Louise, when the alien's like, Louise sees the future, it was like it became clear to her what she needed to do. And even in the flash forwards, like when she's gets the phone and she's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to tell him, and then she sees what she's supposed to tell this Chinese leader, and then she tells him. So I think it was just, maybe she was just chosen by the aliens, and that's why they brought her into their atmosphere. And then you could see how accelerated it became with her ability to see the future when she left their actual atmosphere in that chamber.
Right.
I'm thinking that she was just chosen.
Okay.
And that's how they did it.
And she met the giant one there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was cool.
Like a big old squid. What they look like.
Well, I mean, they both might have been that big. You just
maybe it's just because of
where
you never
saw
right.
the top. Yeah.
That's another thing. It's just so well done. Specifically, it's their actual design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
is
amazing. And even the actual symbols themselves and the way they did all that was just
evidently they developed, they actually made that language so that they could.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. There's probably some in trivia about that too then,
probably.
But that's insane.
I like when she took the phone and then like they're like, somebody's calling.
Oh yeah.
And as soon as they said, I'm like, it's gonna be his phone.
Yeah.
And they're like, where's the phone? And, and it's like, it's your phone, sir.
I know, right? Find that phone.
Yeah.
I'm wondering now that we're talking about it, this might be a bit of a reach, but when those soldiers plant the C4 and then the aliens, Abbott and Costello, they blow out their ink and it's just thousands of tiny little symbols. And Ian is able to make that connection that it's a formula, but it's only 1/12 of the formula, thinking that, okay, we'd have to collaborate with the other countries to get the rest of the formula, sort of thing. maybe they did that as a last ditch attempt in case the blast was going to kill them. This would be another way to unify them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Maybe.
Does that make
Yeah.
kind of make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I also would like to know if, like, once they were unified, did they get the other parts of the formula, and was this used later on? Because they didn't really clear that up. They don't touch on that at the end. They don't really expand on it once they figure out that this is a formula and it's only 1/12 of it. We don't know what the rest of it is, assuming that the other pods have the missing pieces. I would like to know. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's good to leave some things open-ended.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
definitely.
good,
Yeah.
you can't wrap everything up. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you, Josh? First time seeing it, like, did
Of
you
the
actually
ending?
understand? Yeah, and like actually understand it all?
I mean,
Okay.
at least it made sense to me. I mean, I guess the nuance of both your ideas of how she came about the ability. I guess I didn't really dwell on that too much. It was more just the realization of like what was happening. Like I said, when it was happening, like, and you're like, oh, she's now thinking not linearly, and she can see things. And then of course you're like, oh, then yeah, he's the father, and oh, it's they're flash forwards, like all those realizations. Again, very Nolan-esque.
Yeah, that is the
That's
definitely.
But I love that stuff because it's like, it's like pulling one over on the viewer the first time you watch something.
Then everything that you recall about
then
the scenes before just make complete sense.
Makes sense, and you see him in a little bit different light, and like all those things.
There's even a point in the movie where she's like, who is this little girl? Like, she's talking to the aliens. Who is this little girl that I'm seeing? Like, she doesn't realize it's her daughter. So that's what I was like. I remember thinking, I was like, why wouldn't she
the first time.
know who that is if this is a past event? But, obviously.
Yeah. But then I think it's interesting, the line, if you could see your whole life from start to finish, would you change things?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was Ian's answer?
He's like, he said something along the lines of, I would tell people how I feel more often, or something like that.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like was his line at the end.
Which line?
Where he's like,
It was something along the lines of, he's like,
seeing the aliens wasn't the most extravagant sight I saw. It was you. Like, I spent all my time looking up at the stars.
It was kind of cheesy.
Yes.
That was the only line I was like, all right,
the
dude.
aliens wasn't the most extraordinary thing I saw. It was when I saw you.
Right.
Because
then I looked at Claudia, and I'm like, I don't know. Seeing aliens is pretty crazy.
So Jared's just saying that if he saw aliens, it would like just totally defeat seeing me for the first time. Yes.
No.
Yes, it would.
That's not what I'm saying.
It's pretty much what you're saying.
Nope. No,
he's not going to go on record saying that.
No, not
I think
going
it's
on
one
record.
of those. It's a cheesy line.
It makes sense for them.
But it's also in the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cute.
If you were the two, like, it's like if you were like having
yeah.
feelings for each other, and then he says that, like,
Yeah.
and I think, I mean,
It's a good line.
And
Yeah,
I think,
no, it is.
I think it's not. I hope I took it as like it's not just, how that he thought she was attractive or something, but
Right.
I think it was more he was so impressed with her mind and her abilities to figure this out, because I mean, he obviously was also someone at top of his game in his field,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and yet, she's the one that figured it out, not him.
Right.
And I mean, yes, he helped, but I think that's one of the things that attracted him to her, probably, and why he's like, yeah, it was not the most fascinating thing I saw. Was you are the one that made it happen in connection between us and these aliens. So I mean,
Okay. Never mind then.
It's not terrible.
Never mind then.
But I did have a similar thoughts.
Yeah.
It was like a little corny
Yeah.
when he said it. I was like, okay.
All right,
and
guy.
that was the only reason why it stuck out, because of just like how amazing this movie is and how great all the dialogue is. And then it's like just this one little spot, then it sticks out even more because it's just.
So what? So would you change things if you could see the start to finish?
I don't know how to answer that.
I don't know that it necessarily changed the events in my life because they brought me to where I am. And I like where I am. I wish, the only thing I think I would wish is if I could have my mental space that I'm in right now in high school, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And that's the older you get, that's like even more, because like you get wiser the older you get, and then you're like, man, if I could only
all the
had
stupid
this
things I cared
knowledge
about
and wisdom I have now,
right
when I was 20,
how the things that hurt me in high school would do nothing to me right now, you know.
Yes.
It's like, and I wish I was, that would be my only thing. And sure, I mean, yeah, everybody wants to be able to say what they feel more. I feel like that's would be a universal thing.
Line, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I think for me, it definitely touched me at like a level of like having lost someone, like that was close to me. Like it made you think, and you're like, but if I had the choice to do it over again, like I wouldn't change anything, right? So, that's
Yeah. And I also think that things that happen to you, the timeline of your life, I mean, that's God working in your life too. So everything that happens to you happens at the right time. So it's not like, oh, I'd go find Jared sooner. No, that's not when I was supposed to meet Jared, when I was supposed to meet Jared. And, it's, then you're kind of intervening in your plan for your life. And
that's the other thing. That's like, so religion would play a big role in that.
In your
because,
answer,
like,
I'd say.
Because someone that is an atheist would probably be like, yeah, sure, I'd change a lot,
Yeah.
But someone that thinks like actually believes this is.
Yeah, I wouldn't change my timeline, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Maybe some knowledge earlier would have been cool. But other than that,
So just the ability to see flash forward so you can know all the stuff you need to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe do a Back to the Future, bet on some, get an almanac, do all that.
Yep.
My
all right,
gosh.
so Claudia's Trivia Corner now.
Yes. Doo-doo-doo. Okay.
That was a good jingle.
Thanks. I just came up with it right now.
Perfect.
Director Denis Villeneuve and screenwriter Eric, is it Heiserer? Created a fully functioning visual alien language. Heiserer, Villeneuve, and their teams managed to create a logogram Bible, which included over 100 different completely operative logograms, 71 of which were actually featured in the movie.
Wow.
So it was 71 different variations.
71
wow. Okay.
Were featured in the movie, and they had over 100, it looks like. The inky circular alien language was created by Montreal artist Martine Bertrand. It is also the artist's son who created Hannah's drawings that were on the wall.
Oh, cool.
Kind of cute. While the shape of the ship was decided early on, Denis Villeneuve had great difficulty imagining an interior that would allow humans to easily navigate through such a steep and vertical design. The later decision to turn gravity sideways offered an obvious and convenient solution to that.
It's also cool.
Yeah, that was a very good decision.
Definitely. Ted Chiang, who wrote the story the film is based upon, approved the film, saying, "I think it's that rarest of the rare in that it's both a good movie and a good adaptation. And when you consider the track record of adaptations of written science fiction, that's almost literally a miracle."
Yeah.
Facts.
Yes.
The original name for the film was Story of Your Life, the same as the source novella. Test audiences did not like that title, so it was changed to Arrival.
I still think that is a really cool name, though. Story of Your Life.
But then
I like Arrival better.
No, but for this type of movie, yes. But I like that name, though. That's a cool.
Yeah.
And then it's one word names, which all of his movies have been.
Right, you're right.
Up to this point.
Up to this point, yeah.
I mean, Blade Runner. You got numbers after, so it's just a year, so kind of, and then Dune, and then it's just Dune.
Yeah.
So I'd say he's still kind of on that same track record. But.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize now until like going through all these like we're doing now is he does that at the end of every when it cuts the end, it says the name of the movie. I didn't realize he did that in all of his movies. Like I thought that was just a so
Yeah, because not all things do that. I mean,
no,
not all movies do
but that's the thing. Yeah,
that he obviously likes to do. Yes, trivia.
Dirty sci-fi is what director Denis Villeneuve and cinematographer Bradford Young called the look they created together for Arrival. Villeneuve wanted it to feel like this was happening on a bad Tuesday morning, like when you were a kid on the school bus on a rainy day and you dream while looking out the window at the clouds.
okay,
It's kind of cool. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, definitely had that. Again, felt like it was happening now, present.
yes,
Yeah. The Hungarian word to which Halperm refers is, wow, I'm going to butcher this, Zalamita Katika. In English, this translates to salami tactics.
nailed it.
The word means to divide the opposition in order to only have to face smaller, weaker enemies. Interesting. Let's see. The heptapod's craft owes its design to an asteroid called 15 Eunomia. During research, director Denis Villeneuve became attracted to Eunomia's insane shape like a strange egg and thought that kind of pebble or oval shape would bring a perfect sense of menace and mystery to the spacecraft.
It's crazy where inspiration comes from.
Yeah. It is. Amy Adams was Denis Villeneuve's first choice for Louise. She agreed to the role within 24 hours of receiving the script.
I love it when they all actually get their first choice for a movie. You know,
Yeah.
doesn't always happen.
Mm-mm.
In the whiteboard shot where Louise writes the big question, so when she's doing the mansplaining thing, immediately above the question is the standard formula for entropy, the arrow of time. Wow.
Interesting.
I know. Who would know that?
No one
A few people.
A couple
Very few
really, really
people
smart people would know.
are doing the Leo meme and pointing at the TV right when they're like, "Oh, I know that."
I know, right? That's the arrow of time formula.
You're like, "Yes, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I knew
yeah.
that. Yeah."
Sure it is.
Oh my goodness. Something smells so good right now. Do you smell that?
Anything else?
Nothing.
No. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's good.
All
I
right.
think that's good trivia.
Yeah, it was good. Some
Yeah.
good stuff in there.
Oh, actually, one more thing.
All right.
As soon as director Denis Villeneuve finished this film, he began work on Blade Runner. So, right into it.
Well-
it's only a year later, right?
2017.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he took a
It's
break.
quick. Yeah. He took a
Well,
pretty big break.
it's not
Yeah.
much of a break, just probably a lot of pre-production, a lot of planning
true.
for Dune.
Yep.
So yeah, that leads us to the next movie,
Yes.
Blade Runner 2020.
2049.
2049.
Prepare to have Jared talk the entire podcast.
I'll try not to.
He's going to be very
I'll
excited. It's
try not
okay.
to.
If you have good things to say it.
This is a
It's
good movie
one-
too.
it's one of my favorites.
Now
Yes.
I know I've seen this one.
Yeah,
Of course,
right.
yeah.
I never saw this movie until I met Jared.
Oh yeah, I made you.
Never
watch
even
this.
heard of this movie, actually.
Well, actually, and you never saw the original either
no.
until.
Yeah.
Yep.
Never even heard of this at all.
Yeah. Well, grew up watching the original,
Yes.
Yeah.
and then was excited to see this one.
I didn't live in a sci-fi home.
No. And then you were gonna read the book, weren't you?
Yes. We have the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do androids dream of electric
Memes.
Electric memes. Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll be watching Blade Runner.
Getting down the end, that's that one and Dune. That's it.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
And then we'll have to pick something else.
Yep.
But
We got a lot of directors. We got a lot to pick
We'll have
from.
that figured out before we get there.
Yeah.
So yeah. With that, we will sign off. Thank you for watching or listening to Screen Time. We really appreciate you supporting us. If you'd like to support us more, you can either subscribe or like on YouTube or subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and give us a review. 5 stars, please.
Yeah, only 5 stars.
I mean, if
Don't
you
even
don't
bother.
like it, just don't listen.
Yeah,
you don't
it's
need to
okay.
rate it.
You don't have to rate it a 1 or a 2.
Yeah. If you have any questions or feedback, love to get some feedback so we can, add a mailbag section.
Oh man, yeah.
That'd be fun. So write into feedback@screentimepod.com. And if you like to, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Jay Youngbar.
I'm at Claudia Youngbar.
I'm at Jared Youngbar.
All right. And with that, we will talk to you next time.